The Sharks should bring back old friend Mikael Granlund.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker of the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network, we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everyday, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be looking at three forwards the Sharks should be interested in free agency, more again that kind of middle class, including old friend Mikael Granlund. We got Jonathan Drouin of the Colorado Avalanche and Pius Suter of the Vancouver Canucks, and see where all three of these guys would potentially fit with the Sharks. So we're going to start, of course, with Mikael Granlund, and hopefully the ability to have the Lund line 2.0 with Granlund, Eklund, and just Lund potentially. But again, like with the Sharks and free agency kind of setting the course, right? Or setting kind of the table here. Sharks have $20 million in cap space $40 million in cap space this offseason, with about $20 million of cap space to spend just to comfortably hit the cap floor, right? And plenty of holes on the roster with coming up this season. Right now, Will Smith has no wingers, so we're going to be kind of looking at these middle six guys. I think kind of is the focus, right? Kind of beefing up that middle six for the San Jose Sharks. In one of these, trying to find guys who do have a little bit of center wing flexibility, just in case, again, if Will Smith, who is projected to be the second line center, just in case he's not quite ready for second line center opportunities, right? You don't want your whole season to be sunk because of one player just wasn't quite ready for it. And so trying to find, we have Alex Wennberg, who slid into that role last year, but just trying to find some more guys who have that wing center flexibility. And one guy who easily has wing center flexibility, and again, old friend Mikael Granlund. So we're going to start with Granlund. Just in case you don't know, we'll do the whole. We're going to treat Granlund like a brand new person you've never heard about before. But Mikael Granlund, who's 33, just turned 33 in February, former first round pick of the Minnesota Wild way back in 2010, was the 9th overall, the Finnish product. Has bounced around a little bit in the NHL already. He's played for the Wild. He spent a couple seasons with Nashville. He had a cup of coffee with the Penguins. Of course, spent the last year and a half with the Sharks before being traded to the Dallas Stars at the trade deadline. Granlund is coming. This is the last year of his deal. That was a 4-year deal at $5 million. This season with the Sharks and Stars, he played 83 games, 22 goals, 44 assists, 169 shots on goal, averaged 19.27 time on ice, Corsi 4. So when he was on the ice, his team took 43.95% of the shot attempts. Goals for 51.96%. So the breakdown between the Sharks and the Stars numbers is it's very eye-opening. So, but all of these numbers are going to be kind of put together since Granlund did have such a huge amount of time with the San Jose Sharks this season. So, but keep that in mind when you look at the analytics, because they are not super pretty, spoiler, when it comes to Granlund's time with the Sharks. As we know, the Sharks, last time I checked, the worst team in the NHL. One of the really intriguing things was the time on ice disparity. With the Sharks, Granlund was playing almost 21 minutes a night this season. With the Stars in 31 regular season games, he's playing 17 minutes a night. And I think Granlund is probably closer to the 17, 18 minute a night player, but the Sharks being the Sharks, 21 minutes a night for Mikael Granlund. I don't think that is a sustainable mode to operate if you do bring back Mikael Granlund. So again, looking at his analytics here, not the prettiest, right? 2% player playing first line minutes, 57% offense, 1% defense. Again, I think Mikael Granlund's a better defensive player than what his analytics say when it comes to the eye test. And part of that is also you played for the San Jose Sharks for a long period of time this season. Over the last three seasons, Granlund's an 8% projected WAR player, playing first line minutes. Good, solid offensively. Good on the power play as well. Maybe the scoring not as where as you would kind of expect with maybe the usage for him, but played tough competition. Had solid teammates as well. He was getting first line minutes with the Sharks and whatever they could scrape together for good players for Granlund over the past couple seasons. He was getting whatever they could kind of put together, right? And we know the success Granlund had with Eklund and Zetterlund, the past kind of 2 seasons for San Jose. Looking at his usage, of course, Granlund was given tough competition and not as much offensive zone starts as you would expect. A little bit of that is the byproduct of the Sharks spending so much time in their offensive zone, and Granlund was one of those guys where you were hoping he could leave it better than he left it type of situations, right? Where you're starting in the defensive zone and you're hoping by the end of your shift you're in the offensive zone because of Granlund. So we'll get to the Granlund contract here in a second, but I do think bringing back Mikael Granlund is actually a really smart idea for the Sharks, right? We know how successful he was here, even if some of the analytics don't bear out in the analytics, right? I think that was because Granlund was asked to do everything for the Sharks over the last his time in San Jose. He's basically a point per game player for the Sharks, and I think a good mentor and a good leader for San Jose. And you could clearly tell he enjoyed his time here. If the Sharks only bring back Mikael Granlund when it comes to forwards, I think that's a total failure from them because you're basically bringing back the same team as last year and saying like, "Hey guys, let's do better than we did with the same people," right? So I would 100% be in support of bringing back Mikael Granlund because I think he could be that perfect middle six type of player for you, right? And you hope now with Celebrini in year 2 kind of taking that next step, right? And Will Smith taking that next step where they can kind of take some of the load off Granlund so he doesn't have to do everything that he did with the San Jose Sharks in his time there. But Granlund can kind of be that glue guy in the middle where he can, again, that deployment where it's closer to 18 minutes a night, but he can be a little bit more effective because he's not having to play 21 minutes a night as a 32-year-old forward. And I think with Granlund, with his smarts and his ability to kind of play in any situation, would be huge to just kind of fill some holes for the Sharks, right? He's been relatively durable. And I know, again, like he's had some ups and downs and he's played relatively well, I think, for the Stars, who are kind of dealing with some injuries right now in the playoffs. But I think he'd be a perfect guy to bring back because of what he brings to just kind of the off-ice intangibles, et cetera, but just filling some holes. And if he's playing those middle 6 minutes, right, and if Will Smith just isn't quite ready to be a second-line center, you can just put Granlund back at center, right? And then move Will Smith to the wing. And then you have Alex Wenberg as your third-line center. And you can kind of focus on, we're still going to be working on trying to beef up the wings a little bit here while you wait for some of your younger guys to kind of crack into the lineup. But I would be 100% excited to bring him back. Here comes the contract. So Granlund is projected to most likely sign a 5-year deal at 7.08. So we'll just say $7.8 million, or 7.1, sorry, excuse me, $7.1 million. That's a 25% likelihood that he signs that deal. The next other kind of most likely are a 4-year deal at 7.1 as well, at 22%. And then you're looking at like a 2-year deal at like 6.3 basically, or you're most likely out. So we'll just say either 4 years at 7.1 or 5 years at 7.1. So those deals with Granlund would run through his age 38, 39 season as a guy who just turned 33. So that is one thing. If you can potentially re-sign him to a 4-year deal, I would try to stick to 4, especially with his age, where you're looking at like, I guess to be age 37, 38. Sorry, excuse me. Math, not my strongest point, but try to get him to that 4-year deal, and maybe you put some of the non-movement clause stuff in the early years, kind of like you structured with the Toffoli deal, and then open it up where if things aren't going where you want to and he wants to move on, then he would have that opportunity. But I do think the 7.1, like that does sound in the ballpark, and especially for, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking for Mikael Granlund type of players this off season, that kind of middle six type of forwards. I think Granlund, you could do a lot worse than Mikael Granlund as, your kind of backup to see in case Will Smith doesn't work out there, or he's, like I said, he's not ready, or there's injuries. And I think he can play on the wing and help kind of fill in a lot of the holes for the Sharks this offseason. So bringing back Mikael Granlund, I don't think would be the worst idea in the world. So we're going to be looking at next, we're going to be looking at Jonathan Drouin, a guy who can provide some offense but has an injury history. So we'll dive into that here in just 1 second. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I like the in-shell variety. I like hearing the little crack. Just the plain salt flavor is good for me. But if you like the no-shell variety, I'm not going to shell shame you. They have plenty of great flavors to choose from. I like just keeping a bag in my desk at work right around 2:30, right? You get that little snacky feeling. You're good to go with a bag of pistachios in your desk. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, before we get to Jonathan Drouin, do want to, of course, thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't yet, perfect time to subscribe as we continue to get you ready for a massive, massive offseason for the San Jose Sharks. We'll continue to do free agent profiles. We have draft profile, another set of draft profiles coming on Wednesday with a player I know a lot of Sharks fans, and myself included, very excited about. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And, of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. All right. Next player, Jonathan Drouin. So Drouin is a 5'11", 198-pound left wing. Played last for the Colorado Avalanche, former first-round, 3rd overall pick from the Tampa Bay Lightning way back in the 2013 draft. So he played with the Lightning for a couple of seasons before getting traded to the Montreal Canadiens. Played with the Canadiens for 6 years before getting traded to Colorado, where he spent the last 2 seasons with the Colorado Avalanche. So, did get traded. Yes. No, sorry. Signed as a free agent with Colorado. My bad. Not traded. Signed as a free agent to Colorado. But still, spent the last 2 seasons with Colorado. Looking at kind of his production this year, he's coming off a 1-year deal at $2.5 million. He is 30 years old, played 43 games this year where he had 11 goals, 26 assists. He had solid production in a short amount of time there. That's 37 points in 43 games with 56 shots on goal, played 18-11 average time on ice, 58.44% Corsi for, 53.62% goals for. Drouin did miss some time this year. He had a rib injury, and that has always kind of been his thing, is dealing with injuries. So, like I said, he played 43 games this year. Last season was relatively healthy, playing 79 of the 82 games. 22-23, played 58. 34 year before that. in the 56 game season, or is no 34, 44 out of 56, like 27. Like he's a guy who has struggled with injuries over the last couple, or basically his entire career. Is not a guy you can kind of pencil in every night because of the injuries. But the offense is there. When he plays, you're going to get offense. So 69th percentile player, very nice, playing first line minutes, 82nd percentile offense, 20th percentile defense. He plays a ton on the power play, plays top line. Like he is a guy who drives offense and helps score. And that is, last time I checked, the Sharks suck at scoring. So he's a guy who could potentially come in and be that type of player for you. Over the last 3 seasons, he's projected as a 50% WAR player, 80% offense. You're not going to see anything on the PK from him, but great assist guy. Plays against tough competition, of course. When you're playing on the Avs, you're playing with some of the best guys in the world. So that is something to keep in mind, as he's a guy who has played with really good players, right? Player usage top. He's gets, of course, faces tough competition, but gets a lot of offensive starts. He's an effective top 6 offensive-minded forward, which last time I checked, the Sharks need more guys who can just put the puck in the back of the net, or at least help drive the puck to do that. So he has 4 30-goal campaigns, including last year where he put up 30, or sorry, that was assist. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. He does have a couple. He's only scored one season where he has at least 20 goals. This year he had 11 and 19, but he is a guy who does provide can help provide offense for other players, which again, the Sharks just need more offense on their line, or on their forward group. In 607 NHL games, he's got 374 points during that time, including 267 assists. So kind of, again, more of a setup man, but still, I think a guy who could help provide offense, because the Sharks just need that type of scoring. With Drouin, though, I think the interesting thing is the contract here. So he's projected to sign a 3-year deal at $5.637 million. That's a 25% likelihood. But the more interesting contract potential would be a 1-year deal at basically $2.7 million at 21% likelihood. So if you're the Sharks, right, and Drouin probably wants to try to earn at least one more big contract, right? The guy who signed couple of 1-year deals. What if you come in and say, hey, you're going to play top 6 minutes for us, right? Why don't you come in, play top 6 minutes? We have really fun young core. You get to play with Celebrini, you get to play with Will Smith, et cetera, and see if you can have that career year. We'll happily trade you at the trade deadline to wherever, if you want to go to a cup, contender, we'll do our best. But come in, reestablish your value, which kind of feels a little bit low right now. Try to get healthy and go put up and then that way next season, when the cap continues to go up, you could sign yourself to a really nice contract with whoever next season. So that would maybe be the approach I would go. If you sign him to a 3-year deal, that wouldn't be too bad either, but keep it under 3 years for him. But I do think, again, signing a guy to a 1-year deal like Drouin, who has some stuff to prove and has proven to be an effective player before, I don't think it would be the worst idea. I don't know, though, again, if you are a team that, like the Sharks, who just needs more guys who can score, Drouin may not fit that bill, but he was on his way to having a really nice scoring season this year as well. Who knows if he would have cracked that 20-goal mark, but he is a guy who has gone through some tough seasons when it comes to scoring, and it wasn't until he got to Colorado where he kind of really rebounded his scoring touch a little bit, and maybe that also could be a benefactor of playing with great players, right? If you're playing with Cale Makar, you're playing with Nathan McKinnon, et cetera, you're just more likely going to score because those guys are going to, find you and make it easy for you to score. So, Suter again, maybe not the greatest fit for a team that just needs more pure scorers, but would be an interesting concept to see if you could bring him in, maybe help kind of rehabilitate his stock a little bit. And then for the Sharks, right, like you're just getting a guy who can come in and has won, not one, but like has been a guy who can just help provide offense for a team that really needs some more offense. So we're going to look at a Pius Suter, who's a do-it-all center, who had a very nice season, almost underrated season for the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll look at Suter here in just 1 second. All right, before we get to Suter, I do want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Sharks your first listen. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night, until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay, so Pius Suter, undrafted player from Switzerland. He's 5'11", 179 pounds. Just turned 29, like literally like 2 days ago. So happy birthday to Pius Suter. Belated birthday to Pius Suter. He spent broke in the league with the Chicago Blackhawks in the COVID season, the 2021 season. Then he spent 2 seasons with Detroit, and he spent the last 2 seasons with the Vancouver Canucks. This season was kind of that breakout season for him, but he's been a very consistent. I'm going to give you 14 or 15 goals, and I'm going to give you, probably about 15 to 20 assists. Like you're going to, kind of pencil in 30 to 35 points for him. This season with the Canucks, 25 goals, 21 assists for 46 points. So let's get to know Suter here a little bit more. Coming off a contract that was 2 years at $1.6 million, played 81 games, like I said, had 25 goals, 21 assists with 138 shots on goal. Played 17-21 average time on ice, that kind of nice middle six, what you're looking for right there. Corsi for 49.39%, goals for 51.72%. Very good offense and defensive, like good two-way type of player. Suter 80th percentile playing second line minutes. 69% offense, very nice. 94th percentile defensively. Plays kind of second unit power play, would be a huge, plays a ton on the PK, huge asset on the penalty kill. 78th percentile WAR. His defense has always been very, very good. That was kind of what made him break, kind of as he broke into the league. 99th percentile defense. Offenses, I think I think there might be a little bit more meat on the bone type of there, but excellent in the PK. Good, scoring goals. Played against, upper end competition with kind of the same kind of percentile for teammates. So, and then looking at his usage chart with the Canucks this year, not giving a lot of offensive zone starts, facing tough competition, and was a top 6 two-way forward, like kind of average top 6 two-way forward there for the Canucks. For Suter, right, he is I think a really nice, he's a center. So he would be perfect insurance if Will Smith doesn't work out at center, or if Suter is your third line center. That is a really nice world to live in, with Suter being your third line center, and then you kick Wenberg out to the wing. With Will, if Will Smith is your 2C, Suter's your 3C, you move Wenberg to the wing. If Will Smith's not ready for the 2C, you put Suter at 2C, you put Smith on the wing, and you put Wenberg as your 3C. That would be kind of how I would juggle it. But I think Suter, if you're looking for a just good two-way hockey player, and everybody should want good two-way hockey players, Suter is a very steady type of presence. You saw him playing up in the lineup this year too with Pettersson, with the Canucks kind of dealing with injuries and whatever is going on with Elias Pettersson. Was kind of playing up a little bit more, and that's why you kind of saw some of the goal scoring, I think, kick up there a little bit for him. I don't know if he's a regular 25 goal scorer, but if he's in that 15 to 20 goal scoring, and he's again kind of almost like Mikael Granlund, where he's just kind of helping to fill holes, and he's younger and much cheaper, and you can kind of say maybe more effective than Granlund. He, I think, is a very intriguing option, and Suter's a guy I've on this podcast. Every time he's potentially available, I pound the table like the Sharks should sign Pius Suter, because he's really good. Like, he's just a really good hockey player, and the contract for him, I think, is very doable. So Suter is projected to sign a 4-year deal at $4.651 million, 42% likelihood. Like, so 4 years at 4.7, like that is a perfectly fine player contract, and I think a Suter is one of those players who would easily live up to that contract. Right? He's going to be like, you're not going to deal with nonsense or like him not playing. Like, this is a guy who just comes out here, does his job every game. He's been relatively healthy. I think the 23-24 season, he missed some time. He only played 67 games. But other than that, this is a guy who's in the lineup every day. He's going to bring that lunch pail mentality, do whatever you need to do. And I think for a team that has a lot of holes, I think Suter could be a really nice stopgap middle six forward for you for the next couple seasons. And as you have more players kind of come into the system with more offensive ceiling, I think his ability to play defense and then, play on the penalty kill and being a super effective penalty killer for a team that's penalty kill was horrible at the end of the season. I think he would do a souped up Nico Sturm, right? Nico Sturm kind of that role, but if Nico Sturm could potentially score 20 goals a season, I think that is kind of what you're getting with Suter, is a souped up Nico Sturm for the Sharks. So he, out of the three, I would love to bring back Granlund. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to bring back Granlund. I do worry about the length of that contract. Suter, I think, out of these three guys, has the perfect contract length with his skill set, kind of matching where the Sharks need. And it's not the sexiest name, right? You're not going to be like, woo, we got Suter, but Suter's going to just come in and you're going to he would quickly become a fan favorite for what he does on the ice and how he just makes everyone else better and just kind of does what it was asked of him. So yeah, those are the three forward options. We're going to continue to look at more free agent options. I think we're going to do a goalies episode coming up later this week. Tomorrow we have a draft profile, 3 more draft profiles coming up. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tomorrow. Bye, friends.